Good morning, everybody. And wow, what a week. What a week. Um, I wanted to start off, if I'm certain everyone has heard this before, but I wanted to start off with the serenity prayer. God give me God give me God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the strength to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Today, I wanted to talk about attitude more than tactical stuff. Yeah, I've got some tactical messages that I'm going to pass along, but more so about an attitude because I think attitude right now is so important in how we go forward. So much has happened in a week. You know, when we look at the last 7 days, all public events were canceled. Um, in our business, we had to respond very quickly. Last week, I was teaching in the Carolinas and in Atlanta, and live classes, our regular leaders program. And by the end of the week, all of those classes had been suspended. And like any small business, you've got to pivot. You got to be able to pivot under pressure. So we shifted our classes to a Zoom platform, just like what we're using today. I put my slide up on one side and I was live on the other. What was interesting about this was I assumed because we were doing it virtually, we wouldn't get the level of the participation. And what was really neat about it was 85% of my classes showed up on time, um, continued to report their numbers in their app. And we took our lunch break at 12:15 like we always do. And what was interesting is in all three classes, remember I'm teaching virtually live, we didn't lose one person. We came back at 1 o'clock and everybody came back and everybody stayed right to the end and asked lots of questions. So it was really quite an eye opener for us. Um, but you got to learn in small business, you, me, we have to learn to be able to, um, uh, you got to be able to respond to things, and you got to be able to make adjustments as you go forward. You got to know that you can't control certain things, and you just got to be able to navigate given the environment you're in. Um, it's important as small business people that you um, act quickly to mitigate any losses or damages. So I'm going to give you some, like I said, some tactical stuff based on my previous experience, but a lot has to do with our attitude. A lot of the situation is outside of our control. And it always is in real estate. When you look at real estate sales, we have to deal with rising and falling interest rates. So let's just stop there for a second. Don't lose sight of the fact that we have historically low interest rates. Don't lose, I know it's going to be difficult, and I get that, but let's not lose sight of the fact that we have some really great interest rates that are going to support our business in terms of selling houses. Employment rates change. Yes, we are seeing some major layoffs, but those folks will come back once we get a handle on this, and they will. And like all of our leaders are saying, the economy was strong when we went into this. So there's no reason to think that it won't be strong when we come out. Um, we have to deal with natural disasters in real estate. Think about what California went through last year with the wildfires. And yes, they have to deal today with the virus like the rest of us. And I'm certain they must feel like, my gosh, we just go from one thing to another. Isn't that life? But let's not forget about Tennessee. 3 weeks ago, had an F5 tornado that tore through and killed over 20 people. Those poor folks haven't even, picked up from that disaster, and they're headlong right into this one. So, I mean, that's life. Life sends us this stuff to test us. Now, I will go on to say that that housing is one of those cornerstones of society, and don't lose sight of the business we're in. I grew up in a family of small businesses. My dad had a clothing store when I was a kid, and later on he had successful restaurants. But my father always said that there's really three things that you need to be involved in business. You've got to be involved in food, clothing, and housing, because those are the necessities of life. And he said, if you do a good job in one of those categories, you will always do well. Well, I just want to remind you, we're in housing and people can't live without shelter. So don't lose sight of the fact that we are an important part of the economy and an important part of people's lives. Successful agents will take this opportunity to mobilize, not get paralyzed. And I'm going to tell you that it's a fight or flight mentality. And what will happen is there will be people who are not truly committed to real estate who will use this, first of all, as an excuse not to do the things we should. So, and what we should be doing right now is reaching out and talking to everybody we can. And the millennials will pick up a message on this. This is not about sending text messages to people now. This is about relationships. It's not about efficiency. It's about caring about people around you. This is a tremendous opportunity for you to pick up the phone and talk to people you haven't talked to in a long time. And not because you're looking for real estate, but because you want to know how they're doing. Let me give you an example. Almost at the very beginning of my training career, I trained for a broker in Toronto. I did training work for him, a gentleman by the name of Henry Balaban. Wonderful guy, really strong personality, background Israeli, and had been in the Israeli army for a number of years. And when you met Henry, you would tell that he was military trained. Now, Henry today is about 80 years old, but he's been a great supporter of mine and continues to own a real estate office that I believe today his daughter runs. But Henry is a fabulous guy. He's been around forever, and strong personality. I haven't done any training work for Henry, and I haven't talked to Henry in probably 5 years. Last week, I get a phone call from Henry. And what was interesting is the number showed up on my phone as a Mexican number. So when a Mexican number showed up on my cell phone, I immediately thought it's one of those telemarketer companies. But you know, with me, I'm always curious, and I always answer those calls. So I answered the call, and who was it? It was Henry. And he's like, "Chris, how are you doing?" And I said, "I'm fine, Henry." And he said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm in Florida." Yeah, I said, "You know, we're in Florida right now." And he said, "How are you weathering all this virus stuff?" And I said, "You know, we're pivoting quickly. We're applying technology." I explained to him how we were using Zoom and how I could put my slides on one side of the screen and I could hold the classes live. And he thought that was fabulous. He called me to tell me that one of his office meetings he recently held, and he said, "I never get anybody in an office meeting anymore." And he's downtown. When I say downtown, he's downtown in downtown Toronto. So that, you know, traffic and parking is always a problem. And he said, I never get people at office meetings, but he said, I did one virtually this week. And he said, I had 100% participation. And he said, everybody stayed on, which he said, which was really interesting. I wanted to call and tell you that. And as the conversation unfolded a little bit, he asked me a personal question. He said to me, "How are you doing financially?" And I said to him, "I'm fine, Henry." And he said, "I just want you to know there are a lot of people out there that support you. And if you ever need help, reach out and give me a call." And I thought to myself, here's somebody I haven't worked for in 5 years. And it was such an amazing feeling to have somebody reach out and care like that. Now, I'm not suggesting that you reach out and give your money away to people. That's not what I'm saying. But what I took from this was, here's somebody that I obviously had an impact on him at some point, and he was looking for an opportunity to let me know he cared. That's what we need to do as an industry. We got to let people in our community know that we care. There's a lot of stuff that are outside of our control, but there's a lot of stuff that's inside our control. Now, I said something to you a moment ago, and I don't want you to miss it. There are people that will use this as an excuse to not go to work. And there are people that will use it as an opportunity to build a strong foundation so that when they can, they will, and they will do it well. So don't miss this opportunity. Now, our story was, Tina and I had every intention of staying in Florida. We were committed to being down there. We got in the necessary supplies. We were going to do our stuff virtually. And but just in the back of my mind, I said to Tina, "You should really check on our health insurance." Surprisingly, when we called our health insurance company, they told us that we were not going to be covered because our government had declared a national state of emergency, and that our health insurance would be suspended in 10 days, which would have been today, actually. So Tina and I had to get all of our stuff organized. We had to load up the car, and we had to make that trip from Florida to back to Canada over the last 2 days. Got in last night, but we used the time in the car, for instance, to strategize on our message for today. So Where am I? I'm back in Canada, and I am now sequestered for the next 2 weeks. I'm locked into the house. I had to sign paperwork when I crossed the border, promising the government I wouldn't leave. So we've got our supplies in Canada here, and we are sequestered. But I'm not using this as an excuse. I'm using this as an opportunity. I'm going to use every day to reach out and talk to all of my clients and reach out to my students. And I'm going to let office managers know I would be available to do office meetings virtually if they would like a guest speaker for 10 or 15 minutes, just to give a positive message that, you know, this too will pass. I'm going to use it as an opportunity to set everything up, get everything organized. All of the stuff that I've been wanting to investigate that I haven't had time, I'm going to use this time. I know everyone's anxious and there's anxiety over what's happening. And I do believe that we have to practice social distancing right now. And I know that's going to affect our prospecting. I know there's lots of horrific stories on the news. The kids are at home. They're distracting all of us. I don't have kids, but you know, a lot of you guys on the conference today do. But I want you to know that we're all in the same canoe together. We're all paddling through the same white water in our company canoe, and we're all dealing with these distractions. I want you to know that your clients are facing the same stuff. Your clients are going to understand if the kids are running around in the background while you're doing a video conference with them, because you're at home, they're at home. But let's see the upside. I mean, you probably don't know it, but I'm wearing my pajamas this morning. No, I'm just kidding. But you get the point. There's a chance for us to be relaxed, connected, reach out to people. I'm going to hear things from agents that are going to say things to me. Well, I can't do open houses. Well, maybe we can do a virtual open house. Maybe there are other ways to approach our business. I think we should see this as an opportunity to expand on some technology and ideas and things we didn't have. There's going to be people that are your family and friends are going to be laid off right now. This is a time for us to reach out and help people and give them confidence that everything's going to be okay. And yes, there will be financial uncertainty, but that's part of being in the commission business. There's ebbs and flows. So I'm going to go back and say it again. This will be an excuse for some people not to reach, some people to go out of business. This will be an excuse. This will be an opportunity for other people to reach out and really connect with people. So how do you stay calm amidst all of this chaos? Well, I think it's really important to stay informed, not fixated. So there's a difference. I think that anxiety is heightened when we lack information. So it's important that we understand what's going on and that we stay connected. We can't ignore this, but at the same time, you can't stay glued to your television watching CNN and Fox, or CTV if you're in Canada. I mean, these businesses are in the business of sensationalizing that 24-hour news cycle. And there's always breaking news. But trust me, catch it in the morning and then spend the rest of the day doing something constructive. Do I think you need to be informed? Yes, catch it in the evening so that you have some sense of what's happened that day. The news changes every minute. So much information is feeding the frenzy. But make sure you get your news from a reputable source. I'd recommend government websites, or I'd recommend something like the CDC. I'm not interested, other than the entertainment factor, in listening to the talking heads, the regurgitating stuff that they don't really know anything about. So in my opinion, get your news right now about the virus from the CDC. Get it from government websites where you can get some clear information on the stuff, and stay away from the gossip and all the bad news. Stay calm, stay informed. This is an opportunity for you to demonstrate grace under fire. I'm not talking about management, I'm talking about leadership. And anybody can be a leader. Anybody can be a leader when you can demonstrate a positive message when the marketplace has gone haywire. So you got to be calm, you got to be confident. Are you scared? Probably. I think that courage isn't the lack of fear. It's what you do in despite of your fear. And it's when you stand up in the face of everything and you put everything you got into it and you say, I'm not going to fold. I am not going to fold. You can knock me down, but you can't knock me out. I am going to make my way through this. And that type of attitude will get you through whatever. You know, it's coming up to almost 40 years for me in real estate. And I have been tested over and over and over again. And from my worst experiences, and you've heard me say this, comes my greatest growth. You will get through this. In fact, the #1 real estate agent in the country of Canada called me late last week, and of course was nervous. And he's one of my past students. He called to kind of talk through what was happening, and he's got quite a team, and he's concerned. And I said to him, I said, Mark, the strongest steels are forged in the hottest fires. And he said, oh my God, that's a great quote. Where'd you get that? And I said, I got it from Eminem. And he said, Eminem the rapper? And I said, Eminem the rapper. The strongest steels are forged in the hottest fires. Listen, cliches, and I'm like the king of them, but the cliches are built on a foundation of truth. You know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And no matter how tough it is, it will be in our rear view mirror, and it will be a distant memory. But I'm going to tell you something, and I've said this to you before. You're going to learn so much as you go through this exercise. You're going to learn about business, and you're going to learn about yourself. I don't know what the world has in store for us. My mother always said, I don't wish for an easy life for you. I wish for an interesting one. Interesting times, she would say, makes for an interesting life. And you have to admit, this is interesting times. We're living through something that will go down in history. What else would I suggest that you do? I would suggest that you start creating mastermind groups. This is a concept that we used 30 years ago. And it's an opportunity for you to get connected with other professionals. 5 to 6 agents from your office. Use a virtual platform like the one we're using right now, Zoom. You guys can do it from your house remotely. You can set it up as a once a week exercise. Listen, everybody's at home right now. They can't go out and show houses for the most part. For the most part. They can't go out and list houses for the most part. They can't hold open houses. What a great opportunity to connect with other professionals and share some great strategies. Get together with 5 or 6 people, create your mastermind, do it virtually like we're doing it right now, a video conference, and share ideas on how you could build a better business. And I want you to know there will be days when your colleagues are feeling really beaten up. Do yourself a favor, pick them up when they do. Pick them up, dust them off, and let them know this will be okay. I've been through a number of recessions, and I can tell you that you're stronger because of it. I found that small business people reached out in difficult times to help support each other. And you're going to find this again. You're going to find your communities are going to come together. I got a call last week from a really large office, a Century 21 office. The manager called and asked me if I would do a video conference for his office. And I said, of course I would. Any message I have that could help the industry, of course. And he said, we're already seeing the community start to pull together and help each other. And I said, yes, you will. You will see people get together. So I went through the '91 recession, and that was the tough one for me. I know that 2008 was really tough on a lot of other people, but '91 was really where I got my tune-up. And what was interesting about it was I was leveraged, and you've heard my story, I was leveraged on a lot of real estate. And when the recession was over, I lost most of my nest egg that I had put together. But what I realized was number one, the sun comes up every day, and you have an opportunity to approach that situation. And depending on how, it's really up to you. If it's to be, it's up to me. What I realized was, number one, my assets didn't make me. My character did, not my assets. And when they cleaned out my assets in the '91 recession, you know what? I still got up every day, and I still went out there, and I still pushed forward. And in doing so, I became a stronger person for it, and I rebuilt my business and made it successful. So the '91 recession helped me in a lot of ways. It strengthened me. Now, one of the situations that kept coming up over and over again, and during that recession, was I had people that were calling me in. Now, I was a young man at the time. I had people that were twice my age who were calling me in because they needed to sell their house. They were going to lose it. And I took the time to take a look at all of their finances, took out my calculator, worked out their costs, worked out their equity. And there were a number of times I could help them refinance. Sometimes I had to find them a private mortgage to do it, but I could refinance and pay off all of their debts, which allowed them to stay in their house. Now, the tough part about this was I could have made a sale. I could have signed them up. on that listing, and I could have cashed the commission check. But I felt I had a responsibility to them before me. And I knew based on my education, and I knew based on what I had learned in business, that I could restructure them personally and allow them to keep their house. There were times when I walked out of listing appointments, absolutely honestly, and I was licking my wounds a little bit because I had walked away from a commission check, but I had made their life better because of it. A few years passed and the recession was behind us, and my business popped. And a lot of the business I got was from the people who I helped during difficult times. They came back to me and they brought their friends, relatives, and they said, the only person you've got to deal with is Chris, because he's a stand-up guy. This is your chance to be that stand-up person. And I promise you, this too will pass. Keep working, don't turtle. We have a fight or flight attitude, and I can tell you that there are people who are going to run right now. There are still deals being done. I was talking to one of the agents in my Atlanta class on Saturday as I was driving back up the highway, and she was trying to put a deal together on a for sale by owner. Think about that. She had a buyer who wanted to buy it, and a FSBO who wanted to sell it. It was 4 o'clock on a Saturday, which is a stretch during good times for most agents. But she's on the phone asking me how, if you can imagine this, how to persuade the FSBO to pay 4.5% instead of the only wanted to offer her 3% for bringing the buyer. And we strategized on some points that she could make, and I helped her out, and I'm waiting to hear today if she was able to put that deal together. So is there business out there? There is. Interest rates are low. One of the things I'm going to suggest is that you reach out and get in touch with your mortgage people to find out how they're dealing with the mortgage market right now and how things are being handled in that department. Being educated is important. Some agents are going to immediately cut all of their expenses, and I understand that, but be careful in terms of what, and I'm going to talk to you about this in a minute, but be careful what you cut out, because sometimes you can cut too close to the bone and affect the opportunity that's in front of you. Do you need to be thoughtful about your expenses? The answer is absolutely yes, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But think about, like, for instance, we have a company that we work with that helps us with our social media. We work together with them. One of your immediate responses is, okay, there's a catastrophe, let's cut all of our expenses. And I went, whoa, 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 whoa. We know that everybody's going to be at home. I know that everybody's going to be at home for the next while. And what are they going to be looking at? Social media. So we need to stay there. That's one expense that I'm committed to, and not an expense, but an opportunity. We have a platform in our company to constantly remind people that we care and we're here to help. Let's not get rid of that platform. Let's enhance that right now so that the industry knows that we're there for them. Some agents you should be looking at sharing positive stories on social media. People will be reading those, and using technology right now to communicate with clients like you and I are doing right now. Taking this downtime to revamp your business and really get involved in all of the corners of your technology that you really never have time to really explore. This is a great opportunity to figure out all the nuances of stuff, a time to train yourself, a time to look at how could I build a better business. I gave you some great listing presentations, buyer presentations, all of that stuff. It's time to customize it. Tina and I are here. Pick up the phone, say, hey, I'm trying to customize this. I don't understand that. This would be a great opportunity for us to be able to support you in getting organized. This would be a great opportunity to hone your business plans. The business plan I gave you guys that you have from our company would be a great opportunity for you to look at all of your expenses and put down your line items and be thoughtful about what you're committed to personally and professionally. Update your CRM system. Get on there with your In Touch and start using your In Touch and whatever system you're using, and really understand it. Work on your business right now instead of always in your business. And when things get back to normal, and trust me when I say this, they will get back to normal. You're going to hit the ground running, and you're going to be able to make a big impact and not just recover, but really succeed. So I want to talk to you about cash flow. Cash flow is really important right now to you. If you don't have, you don't have to be profitable, you have to have cash flow. And I know that's a weird statement in business, but if you're a profitable business that can't pay your short-term commitments, then you're going out of business. It's going to be an interesting time when we look around the real estate industry to see who is positioned and who's going to be sustainable. Cash flow is really important. And I know we're all worried about our finances. Hopefully you have some reserve put away, or you have a line of credit to be able to tap into. And you know, I talked about this in the classes that I taught you. Here's an example of the stuff that I taught you in the class and why it's important. Now, also be aware that our governments, both Canadian and the US government, are coming up with programs to help assist us. Let's spend some time investigating what programs are available to us. One of the programs that are available, if you start to do your research, is, and I know cash flow is important right now, so you've got to look at how do I suspend my expenses and still go forward. One of the programs that are available to us on a case-by-case basis is the ability to delay your mortgage payments. So you may want to take a look at your personal expenses and say, what can I delay? That doesn't mean grant, it means delay. Will we be responsible later? Yes, we will. But having cash flow right now might be the important part. You can ride out any storm if you have the resources. I know that nobody likes to go backwards. And I know at this time we're going to see revenue going, we're going to see money going out and maybe not as much money coming in. But you need to know that you got to get to the other side, because when you do, it's going to be worth it. And I will want to go on to say, as much as you want to help everybody out there, and I want you to, I want to, but you can't help anybody unless you first help yourself. So take a hard look at what you're doing, where your expenses are. Make sure that you can put your hands on cash flow for the short term. Stay positive. Everyone is anxious right now. When making your calls and talking to people, be enthusiastic. I know agents that are looking for an excuse to lose. And I know people who are looking for a reason to win. Be the winner. Be the one who always brings that positive message. My job is to pick people up during troubled times. That's one of the things that I do as a coach, as a trainer. I take those calls from people all the time. I took them as an office manager. I've always put other people's interests ahead of my own. And in the process, I ended up with a lot of people who were connected to me because of that position. People are going to call you and they're going to be in a negative mindset, and they're looking for a reason to talk about the skies falling. One of the things I hear from people all the time, people who are close to me and call me, they call because they feel good when they get off the phone with me. So I'm going to say to you, you have to adopt that same position. When somebody calls, it's got to be like, hey, this is Chris, what's going on? I'm going to tell you, just shifting that gear, taking the tone in your voice up. The mind cannot distinguish between vividly imagined facts and real facts. Pretend to be the person you want to be, and you become the person you pretend to be. Be happy, and people around you will be connected to you. Look, you have a choice, and the sun's going to rise tomorrow. We all got issues, but stay positive, stay up, and if you stay up, you're going to find that you will be up. And so my attitude is always the glass is half full. There's the reason for it. Don't focus on the negative. Stay positive. People are feeling really isolated right now. So you got to reach out and talk to everybody and bring them a positive message. Time to pull our community together, time to pull our office together, time to pull our salespeople together. And trust me when I say it, everybody you're talking to is feeling the same thing. So bring them that positive message. Deliver that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I have not been through this, but I have been through a number of recessions, and every recession is different, and every recession is caused by something different. And I'm not even saying this is going to be a recession. I don't know that. I'm not an economist. But what I do know is this too will pass. And when it does, the people that are left standing will be the ones that are going to succeed. Difficult times. We don't know how long it's going to last. We have this level of uncertainty because we're in a commission business. I get it. You get it. But stay positive. See the upside. When the door opens, there will be pent-up demand, and our governments are working diligently to create an environment to get this back to where it was as quickly as possible. So it will come back. So hang in there. Make the most of this time. Don't waste it while you are sequestered at home and doing the responsible social thing by not being connected to people. Spend your time with family right now. What a wonderful time to chase your kids around the house or play in the backyard or pick up the phone and call people that you haven't talked to. Because when the market heats up, we're all going to be running again. Here's your homework for the week. And I know I've gone longer than I normally do, but I care about you guys. Contact at least 5 or 6 agents in your office this week and form a mastermind group. Make sure that the conversation is always positive. If somebody brings a problem, They need to bring 2 solutions for discussion. So you don't dump problems, and this isn't a session where people just get to whine. You got to bring, if you bring a problem, bring 2 solutions and have a meaningful discussion about which one would they best have the best effect. Guys, Tina and I are here for you. Hey, I'm locked in the house for the next 2 weeks. And believe it or not, we drove back from Florida. The weather was perfect the whole way back. And we woke up this morning to a blizzard, a snowstorm. So we're back, we're stuck here, and we want to talk to you, and we want to talk to your managers. We want to help. God bless everybody. Be safe. And you're in our thoughts and prayers.